friends, welcome to Love and Life's Journey DIY. I'm Chantel. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a little while since I posted a DIY video, and that's just because life has been a little bit crazy. I went to Ohio to celebrate our grandson's first birthday. I can't believe it's been a year already. And then right after that, I hosted a 60th wedding anniversary party for my parents, and there was just a lot of details and things to do for that. I did do some DIYing, but it was for the party, not for Christmas. So anyway, now I'm back with some Christmas DIYs. If you've been following me for a while, then you may have seen the video where I picked up some grab bags or boxes from Michael's after Christmas last year. And I picked up 3 boxes. They were $5 each. I just took a chance to what was in them. And one of the boxes was completely filled with red berries. There were so many berries. So today's video is all about red berries. We're going to be doing some Christmas DIYs using these, and you can get red berries at Dollar Tree or Walmart or any craft store. So you should be able to find the supplies that you need for these DIYs. So let's jump in and get started.
This DIY was inspired by these Pottery Barn berry trees, and since I got a whole box of berries for just $5, I can certainly make them for less than $159. But even if you had to pay full price for your berries, you could still DIY these for a whole lot less. So I am going to be using 3 of these tinsel trees from Dollar Tree. I'm also going to be using this galvanized bucket. Now, I picked this up in the summer and it was part of their beach themed items. It actually has a starfish on it, but I think I can get away with it because it's going to be Christmas themed and people are going to be thinking Christmas, not beach. So people will just think it's a star. I'll also be using some red fabric that I got in the Crafter's Square aisle at Dollar Tree. And of course, I'm going to be using some red berries. I used about 7 stems of these berries, and these are pretty large, so you'll need quite a few berries. And it will just depend on the size of your tree and the size of the stems of berries that you get. I'm going to start by removing the tinsel from these trees, and they are just hooked around a little hook on the bottom. So you just find the end and unhook that, and then you can just unwind the tinsel off of the little cone. So you can use just one of these cone frames, or you can stack them to make taller trees. I'm actually going to stack 3 of them together to make my tree. Next, I'm going to take my red fabric and I am going to use it to cover these cones. This is going to hold the cones together, and it's also going to give me a surface to glue the berries to. I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue in random places and just roll this around the cone frames, just securing it as I go. And I just trimmed off the excess fabric, leaving a little bit at the bottom, and then I folded that over and secured it with a little hot glue. Next, I'm going to take my little galvanized bucket, and I picked this one because the cone fits perfectly around the top rim of this. So I'm just going to use my hot glue, and I'm going to put a generous amount around the rim of the bucket and just glue the cone right to that. So now I'm going to just snip off some pieces off of the berry stems. I'm going to be using all of the stems, but I am using some of the smaller parts later to fill in where I need them. So I cut lengths of berries that were about 2 to 3 inches in length, and then I'm going to hot glue those around, starting from the bottom, working up. I did find this a little bit time consuming, but a good Christmas movie on the TV while you're doing this will make the time go by really quick. Once I have my cone pretty well covered, I'm going to go back and look for any bare spots or places where I can see that fabric showing through, and I'm just going to tuck some little pieces of berries in there and just fill it all in. If you are a regular subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you like Dollar Tree DIYs and DIYs on a budget and you would like to see more videos like this, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and become part of the Love and Life's Journey family. So if you want something a little faster and easier, I have another version for you. And I'm going to be using this balloon weight from Dollar Tree, some burlap fabric, and you can get this pretty inexpensive at Walmart. I'm also going to be using some jute twine, and I'll be using 3 stems of my red berries. I'm going to start by taking apart the balloon weight. I'm just going to cut the little tie that is around it, holding it together, and then unfold that foil that's around the bottom, and then just remove that center portion. Then I'm going to set the balloon weight little cement part aside, and I'm going to be using that foil part as a pattern to know what size to cut my burlap. And I am going to double my burlap so that I have a nice thick layer. I am going to offset the corners of my burlap and trim any the strings that are hanging off. And then I'm going to put my little cement block in the center, and I am going to use my 3 strands of berries, and I will cut the stems down a little bit because they are awfully tall, and so I'm going to cut them down to the height that I want, and then I will glue the 3 stems right into that hole in the balloon weight where I took out that center part. Really super easy. Then I'm going to start gathering my burlap up around the base of that balloon weight and around the stems of my berries. And then I will secure it using some jute twine. And so it looks basically like the balloon weight did, except now it has burlap around the base and berries coming out the top. A super easy, very farmhouse berry tree. You can leave it as is, or you can bend the berries out and kind of shape it to get the shape that you want for your tree. Let me know in the comments, which one do you like best, the cone shape or this rustic burlap tree? For this next project, I am going to be using a jar that I had on hand. This is just like a jam jar or something that I'm recycling. And I'm going to be using 2 of these tall white candles from Dollar Tree. So also in my box of berries were these berries that have silver glitter on them. These are really pretty, and I'm going to be using these for this project. I'll also be using the little aluminum container from a tea light candle, as well as a small piece of dowel and a popsicle stick. So I'm going to be making my own LED candle, and I'm using this little container from the tea light as my mold for the place where the uh, little battery operated tea light candle is going to sit. And so I need to figure out how far down I want that to sit before I pour my wax and everything. So that's what I'm doing here is I am figuring out where I want that, how far down I want it to sit, and then I'm going to cut my dowel to that length. To cut my dowel, I am using these miter shears. If you don't have a pair of these, you need a pair of these. These are the best crafting tool. I love them for cutting things like dowels, and they just cut so well. I always hold my hand over the top so that I don't get something in my eye, but they just work great. I will have them linked down below in the description under my favorite crafting tools. I'm going to use some super glue to adhere that little piece of dowel to the center of my little tea light container. You do not want to use hot glue for this because it's going to be sitting down in hot wax, and so it will loosen your hot glue and come apart. So this super glue works perfect for this. I'm going to let that super glue set up for a little bit, and then I'm going to take my jar and I am going to cut some berries and just push these down into the bottom of the jar, and I'm just kind of packing them tightly in the bottom of the jar. Something I did learn here is you should secure these to the bottom of the jar, maybe using a little bit of E6000 or super glue. And I'll show you why that is in a minute. So now that the glue is set up on my little tea light container, I am going to take my popsicle stick and I am going to glue that on the top. And for this, you can use hot glue because the hot wax is not going to touch it. So now I'm going to melt the wax in those two candles that I bought from Dollar Tree, and I just have some water in a saucepan, and I have this on medium heat, and I'm just going to let this sit until the wax is melted. It does take a while, and you do have to kind of work with it. The bottom will melt first, and then you can kind of push the top wax down inside. You just want to do that carefully so that the wax that's hot from the bottom doesn't come up and burn you. But I just filled the pan as full as I could and then let it melt until it was all the way melted. And I'm not going to be using the wicks from these candles for this project, but I did pull them out and save them because I might want to use them for another project sometime. So I'm wanting the berries just to show through the glass around the edge on the bottom of the jar. And so here's where I realized I should have attached them to the bottom of the jar somehow. And so when I poured my melted wax in there, I didn't think about the fact that the berries would float in the wax. So I'm thinking since I am not actually burning this candle, the actual wax, maybe gluing them to the bottom of the jar, or maybe just putting the wax in a little bit at a time, which is what I actually ended up doing. However, the problem with doing that is that you get some lines. Your wax is not real smooth. So um, I'm completely new at this candle thing. So if any of you have any ideas of how to fix that problem, I'd love to hear them in the comments. So you can see here they floated up, and I thought, well, maybe I can just push them down and hold them long enough to let the wax set up a little bit to hold them, but it just was not working. And so I ended up taking the berries out and pouring the wax back in and warming it up a little bit and just basically starting over. So here's what I did. I started with just a little bit of wax in the bottom of my jar, and then I put some of my berries in there and positioned them where I wanted them to be, and then I let that set up. And I just used a butter knife to kind of push them up against the edge of the glass as tightly as I could because I want them to show, because the wax is going to turn white, and so I want the berries to show up against the glass. And then I just continued to add some berries and my wax and just kind of do this a layer at a time. It still um, was not as easy as I thought. I'll be completely honest with you. So, this is why you guys watch these videos, to let us YouTubers figure out all of the uh, ins and outs and ups and downs and what to do and not to do, things, and decide if you want to try it yourself. But anyway, this is how I did it, and I'm sure there's probably an easier way. I also felt like my berries weren't showing through as much as I wanted them to, so I kind of used my knife to press them against the glass as the wax was setting up, and this did help quite a bit. It still wasn't quite as much as I wanted the berries to show. So when I got to the top of the candle, I kind of figured out where I needed to uh, put my wax to before I set my little tea light container down inside of there. And here's another thing I didn't think of. You do need something heavy to set on top of this, and I did not have anything close by, so I just grabbed my ceramic spoon rest that was sitting there by the stove and used it. But you do want to have something heavy to weight this down. So you just want to get it centered in your candle and put your wax up to the rim of that little tea light container. Put something heavy on that and let it sit. So here is my candle after it's set up, and the berries aren't showing through as much as I would like them to, but I still think it's pretty. So now I'm going to wrap some jute twine around the top of my candle, and I'm going to add a little bit of greenery and berries, and then I'll remove that little aluminum tea light container and set a little LED tea light inside there, and my candle is finished. It was a project for sure. I learned a lot, and I do like how it turned out. Let me know in the comments your tips for making this project easier. Next, I'm going to use some of these plastic ornaments. You can pick these up at craft stores or Dollar Tree, and I'm going to make some really simple red berry ornaments. I'm going to use some faux snow as well as just a couple of sprigs of greenery and a little bit of the red berries. And I will also be using some Dollar Tree Christmas ribbon. For For this first one, I'm just going to remove the top off of my ornament, and then I am going to put a little bit of the faux snow inside of this. And if you have a dryer sheet and you want to put that inside and kind of wipe around the inside of the ornament, that does help with the static. I did not have any dryer sheets, so I did not do that, but there's a little hack for you. And then I just put a little bit of the faux snow in here. And oh my goodness, it seems like I was just doing a lot of things the hard way in this video. So a funnel would be much easier for this, but no, I'm doing it the hard way. So, you know, whatever. I eventually got the job done. So once I have the faux snow in my ornament, I'm going to cut off a couple of sprigs of that greenery and place those inside, as well as a little sprig of the berries. Then I'll put the top back on the ornament, and then I'm going to add a little jute twine hanger to the top, and also just tie a regular little bow with my Dollar Tree ribbon and glue that to the top of the ornament as well. This is just a cute, fast, simple little ornament. It would be cute to give on a gift or as a gift for a gift exchange, but I think it's just really pretty. And if you look to the left of the ornament, you'll see I put red berries in my Christmas tree this year too. You could also just take pieces of the berries and put them in a glass ball or a plastic ornament as well. And I added a little candy cane ribbon to this one, and that's really cute and easy too. For this next DIY, I will be using this wooden hoop. This came in a set of two, I think, from Dollar Tree. This is the smaller one. You can use any type of hoop that you have. I will also be using some of this decorative filler. These are pine cones and some little silver embellishments that I am going to be using. And for this project, I will be using my red berries that have the silver glitter on them. And I'll be using a little bit of black chalk paint. To start off, I'm going to paint my hoop using that black paint. Once my paint is dry, then I'm going to take some of my red berries and I'm going to cut a couple of lengths of the berries to go on either side of the wreath at the bottom. Once I'm happy with how those look, I'm going to attach the berries to the hoop using my hot glue. And this is one reason I like to use the wood hoops for this as opposed to the wire hoops. It just gives you more surface area to glue your florals or berries or whatever you're working with to. And so I think it's easier. So next I'll take some of those silver embellishments out of that decorative filler packet I got at Dollar Tree and glue those to the center where the berries meet. There were also some silver berries in that packet, so I decided to add those as well. And I think that's where I'm going to stop with this. I think this looks really elegant and I like the way it looks. And to change it up, you could add something like this silver snowflake ornament from Dollar Tree. I just hung it on the little nail that the wreath is hanging on, which also makes it really easy to turn the wreath around, and you can put the berries at the top, and it looks great that way too. So it's very versatile. Let me know in the comments which of these projects is your berry favorite one. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel and helps other people to see this video as well. If you have not subscribed yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell and set your notifications so that YouTube will notify you every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a blessed day.